my boys. What do you want?
Needs to be said.
It goes without saying, she's the smartest person in the room because she's the only one out here cheering for Pretty Wild. We're still campaigning for those tag belts. We want revenge, baby.
Is the future. We won.
We won. We
may not have
you
the
can't
titles
deny it.
because that's not how wrestling works, unfortunately, but we won.
Yeah.
We beat the Rat Bastards.
It wasn't our fault. We were
clean.
screwed by exterior forces. We want justice.
Yeah,
That's what we
exterior
want.
forces. That's who screwed us.
Maybe that triple threat tag team match should be a fatal four-way.
Maybe it should.
That's not a bad idea. That's pretty good. For once in your life, you had a good idea. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
The one. Everyone gets their one.
You know
Everyone
what?
gets their one.
You all suck.
I just want to say that it was super rude of you to walk away from me early.
Talking to the New York State champion, you're going to have to pay up.
Do you take kale?
Dude, goodbye.
Whipwreck, Cation, doesn't matter.
We'll see what happens, but it looks like we have a special guest.
Get my earplugs on.
No. You was looking for Tina, and then you talk about people.
Dominate tonight, all right? The Dirty Deeds, they got nothing.
We're now the new Starlet champion. What's going on?
Hi, I am Fearless Princess, so why not team up?
All right, now just announced by Mr. Joel Maximo for February.
Finisher is called the Shadow Band, and I was like, that's kind of.
Hold on. Let me speak. Okay?
But today I got a very special guest. I got the great.
Welcome to Beyond the Barricade. I am your host, Papa Dank, and today I got a very special guest. Let me bring to you the one, the only, Robby Vegas. What's going on, bud?
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing great, man. Hope everything is well with you, and hope you had a great weekend.
Yeah, you too. Happy Easter and all that stuff.
Happy Easter and all that stuff, bud. To you too. All right, let's start off with how you fell in love with professional wrestling.
I grew up with it. Some of my earliest memories are of professional wrestling, and I more specifically, Shawn Michaels is the guy that really captivated me, and that's what kept me so interested. And as I was getting older, and Shawn wins the title for the first time at WrestleMania 12, that was a huge moment for me. And then seeing his return in 2002 was a huge moment for me. And I was just like, man, this is something I have to get into. I want to try this.
Okay, awesome. All right. Now, once you decided to become a professional wrestler, where did you go train? Who were your trainers, and what were your thoughts during that initial training?
So I was trained by the Buffalo Bad Boy, Brian Jennings, who he was in turn trained by Les Thatcher, who's a huge name in the wrestling industry. And yeah, I trained with Brian for about a year before I had my first match. And I'm not going to lie, when I first started, I was not sure if I was going to be able to do this. Nobody tells you how difficult it actually is to train to become a professional wrestler. Right. So I trained with Brian for, like I said, a year, and I still kept training with him a little bit even after I made my debut. And then I went on to take some seminars with Al Snow and Matt Cross. And, from there, it was just kind of, getting my feet wet, taking bookings. And once the bookings started coming in, it was time to learn on the road.
All right. Now tell me about, once you started wrestling, what was your first professional match? Who was it with? And what were your thoughts during that match in front of a crowd?
Oh, let's see. My first match actually took place in Toronto for a company called Victory Commonwealth Wrestling. I don't even think it's around anymore. But it was myself and not really my tag team partner, but for whatever reason was my tag team partner that night, a guy that went by Davey Delight. And we faced Jeremiah Bradley and Cyclone Jones. And I got to say, as nerve-wracking as it was leading up to that match, once we got in the ring and actually started wrestling, I felt comfortable. And it was fun, and I felt at home, and it actually started to make a little more sense to me in that moment what I was doing, and I started to become a little more comfortable in my own abilities after that in training going forward. But it was a really random day. Like, I just went up there, I brought gear just in case. I'd never had a match before. We put the ring up, just helping out, trying to just shake hands and meet some people, and the promoter came up to us and was like, "Do you guys want to tag on our opening match tonight?" And we were just kind of like, "Sure." And it was a first match for us both.
Awesome. All right. Now tell me about an opponent you want to wrestle, but you just haven't wrestled them yet. And how come you want to wrestle this person?
Oh man,
And
first
it's okay
person
if you
that
have
came.
more than one.
Well, okay, that's good because the first person that came to mind was Sean Carr. I've been wanting to wrestle Sean for years, and I think he's just a hell of a talent. And I've never seen a bad Sean Carr match. And I love the guy to death as a person, and his in-ring ability is just off the charts. And the second guy that came to mind was the remix Kevin Bennett. This guy is so talented. He makes waves everywhere he goes. I think last year he was the heavyweight champion at Excite, Empire State Wrestling, and Smash Wrestling up in London, Ontario, all at the same time. And that's another match that I've wanted since we both started, because we started around the same time, and it's just never happened.
All right. Tell me about your toughest match to date. Why was it so tough for you, and who was the opponent you wrestled?
Ooh, toughest match so far. Well, Bill Collier comes to mind, just because of his size. It was hard to wrestle somebody who's that big, that takes a lot of your offense out when you realize you can't knock somebody down. So that comes to mind for sure. Other than that, I'd say some tag matches I had against the High Seas, because Cloudy and Ando can really go. And it's like they don't have off buttons. Their cardio is just off the charts, and they're just go, 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 go. And to try and keep up with such talented wrestlers who have, they're always on full. The tank never empties. And that could be pretty taxing on the body and on the mind too. And, they're hard-hitting matches on top of all of that. But some of the most fun and best matches I've ever had also with Bill, Ando, and Cloudy.
Okay. Did you ever get a chance to meet Shawn Michaels?
I did, actually. The very first time WWE called me for extra work back in 2018.
Oh, wow.
He was the very first person I met. They told me to go to Talent Relations and check in. And when I knocked on the door, I heard a familiar voice say, "Just a second." And I was like, "Is that Shawn Michaels?" And the door opened, and Shawn walked out, put his hand, introduced himself to me. And I was like, yeah, no, I know who you are. And he just kind of laughed and shrugged, yeah, I know. And we shook hands, and I talked to him for a second. And he talked to me again later that night too. And he was a super nice guy. And they say don't meet your heroes, but I disagree, because he was fantastic.
Awesome. What a great moment for you, man. So happy for you, bud.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And to be there at Monday Night Raw, shaking hands with Shawn backstage was just the best.
Man, Shawn Michaels is one of the guys that, me growing up personally, I idolized the guy, man. When he fought Bret Hart in that Iron Man match, he flew down. I was like a little kid in awe, and going, man, this is great. I love this guy.
Yeah, same. That was the match that really solidified him for me. Was the Iron Man match at WrestleMania 12?
Right.
Yeah,
that was before DX too. So
yeah.
And then DX is DX, which was great in itself. But wow,
hey,
great that we have the same idol in common. It's great.
Yeah, top-notch performer. I don't think anybody outperforms him ever, and I don't think anybody ever will.
I don't think so either, man. Some people can come close, though. Some people come close.
Yeah.
But he is Mr. WrestleMania, so.
Yes, he is. Yeah, he is.
If you can have an intergender match with someone, who would that person be and why?
That's a tough question. I've never been asked that before.
Well, that's good on my part.
Yeah. Probably Becky Lynch, just because she's the big thing going right now, who wouldn't want to? And not just because she's the big thing going right now, but because she is one hell of an entertainer. And not just one hell of an entertainer for a woman, just one hell of an entertainer, period. And fantastic wrestler. And I think she's as great as she once was. She's better now. And that's saying something, because I don't think Becky was ever bad.
I agree. Anybody on the independent scene that catches your eye?
As far as intergender goes?
Yes.
Who would I like to work? Silesia Sparks comes to mind. Let's see. Katie Arquette. Katie Arquette would probably be the one that I would 100% want to have a match with. Yeah.
Awesome. Is there any promotions you want to work for besides the big ones that has caught your eye recently?
Oh, let's see, that I haven't yet. I saw an announcement today. I believe it was called Big League wrestling in Erie, Pennsylvania, which is going to be run by Big League John McChesney. And with that announcement being this morning, I would love to get a foot in the door there. I've known John a long time, one of my favorite opponents, best matches I've ever had. And so that comes to mind. I would have normally said Empire State Wrestling, but about a year and a half ago, I started working for them. And I would say Smash Wrestling in London, Ontario.
Okay, I've heard of Smash Wrestling. All right, let's go into hobbies, Robbie. What do you like to do for fun? Do you collect? Do you go out? Do you?
Well,
do stuff? I don't know. What do you? Do?
I am a musician, so
Awesome.
you know, I'll be out playing gigs and stuff like that. So that's something that I fill in my off time from wrestling with is music. I also host my own podcast, so I do that in my free time as well. And my other hobby is horror movies. So if there's a horror convention or something going on, I like to check those out. But I'll sit and watch horror movies in my free time all day if I'm allowed.
That'd be a great gig, man.
Yeah, right.
What is your podcast about? What do you guys talk about on your podcast?
So this may shock you, but I interview horror movie actors.
Awesome.
I also interview rock stars. And I also interview professional wrestlers. And when I don't have an interview, we do movie and album breakdowns.
Okay, so man, because I'm interested because I'm a podcaster myself. Who are some of the biggest guests you've had?
Dee Snider from Twisted Sister.
Okay.
Well, just recently we had Demolition Smash last weekend. Just Incredible.
Wow.
Felissa Rose from Sleepaway Camp was one of them. Darcy DeMoss from Jason Lives.
I know who she is.
Yeah,
I love Jason. That's my favorite Jason movie.
Oh yeah, that's stuck up there for me too. We've had just about every member of Vixen, members of LA Guns. So yeah, we do it big.
Awesome. And any Jasons themselves on your show?
Yes, actually, CJ Graham from Jason Lives has been on the show. Yep, and you could find a picture of CJ Graham holding my current heavyweight title.
That is freaking awesome, man. I love it. And where can everybody find your podcast?
Everywhere you listen to podcasts, it's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, anywhere. And some of the ones that I do on StreamYard, like we're doing right now, I will post those on YouTube also. But if it's just audio, it's on Spotify and all those things.
All right, awesome, man. Good stuff, man. I like learning about other podcasts, man. It's fun.
Hopefully you check it out and enjoy it.
I have to watch it now that you have Darcy on. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and it's so fun when other podcasters listen to each other's podcasts because you know what goes into it. So yes. it's one of those like you could appreciate like what goes into it a little bit more.
What would you say? We're gonna get off wrestling for now. What would you say is your most typical frustration with being a podcaster?
I think so. Doing your own production and editing can be a little bit frustrating and time consuming sometimes. I don't think people really realize for, the stuff that goes into putting it on Spotify and Apple and all that stuff, the amount of editing that has to be done sometimes. And it could be a 45-minute interview that you hear, but I might have put like 5 or 6 hours of work into it. Or, sometimes the celebrity guests can be taxing because it's very hard to work around their schedules. And then you get some of them that can be a little uppity on you. And that gets a little tough doing the back and forth because I handle all that too. So it's like, it really depends on who's on, how much editing has to be done, and how easy or difficult they are to work with.
Okay. All right. I find it hard when I'm editing the vlogs. It takes me, like you say, hours to do like a 20-minute vlog.
Right. And I don't think people realize that because they just see a 20-minute, what they consider a 20-minute like clip. But it takes a long time to get, the perfect music or the perfect cut scenes or you know what I mean? It's hard.
Yeah, for me it's the graphics. I like to add graphics in. It's the toughest part. All right. Let's go back into wrestling. Although I'm fascinated by what you experienced too. Maybe we can have a conversation about that some other day.
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's go into. Have you ever been up here to the Northeast, like Long Island or anything like that, New York?
I have not gone out to Long Island or New York to wrestle. Out Northeast wise, I've wrestled Vermont. I do wrestle all over New York State. Just haven't wrestled in New York City. I've done WWE extra work in Brooklyn and stuff like that, but never, never actually had a match in that area.
Okay, your thoughts about WrestleMania this week for yourself?
I think that Roman Reigns may be the true Hulk Hogan of our generation, and I think that what they're doing with him and the way they're building up the Cody thing and The Rock being the final boss and the tag team match, and like, I think it's cool that he's basically headlining both days, because those are the two matches people want to see, and those are the matches I'm looking forward to. As much as I respect and appreciate people like Judgment Day and Drew McIntyre and Seth Rollins, it's Cody and Roman's year.
Okay, all right. Any extra work you guys doing somewhere up here in Philly?
I will not be in Philly. I will be, I think it's the following week, I'll be in Pittsburgh. So.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. But I've done my fair share of extra work, and there's a clip of me throwing water on Kevin Owens somewhere out there.
How much fun is it to do that stuff with WWE?
It's great. It's a learning experience. Every time they've used me for some kind of TV spot or backstage segment, we've always had a great time. And Bruce Pritchard is a super smart guy to learn from if he happens to be the one producing your segment. And it's learning how to be on television. It's a different animal. It's not the indie scene where you could just go out there and do your match and cut a quick promo backstage. There's a lot that goes into it, and whether it was the segments with Kevin Owens or Judgment Day or the Mysterios or whatever, it's always been like an amazing experience and a great setup, and they treat us really well. I have no bad things to say about being an extra for WWE. Every single time I'm there, I'm just thrilled to be there, and everybody's more friendly than they were the time before.
Good. All right, let's go into overseas. Any thoughts about where you would like to go work overseas?
It's crossed my mind a few times. It's not something I spent a lot of time thinking about, as I've primarily obviously wrestled in the States and in Canada. But the UK, Italy, like stuff that stuff crosses my mind from time to time when I see, flyers from, that area, and friends of mine have, jumped back and forth. And so I would say probably that.
Okay. How was your time in Canada?
I love it. I love it. I currently work pretty frequently for Off the Ropes, and great company, great crowds, always sold out. I've, like I said, worked for Victory Commonwealth up there when they were still a thing. Courage Pro, which is still up there. Just a few spot shows here and there for I think it was called Bordertown Pro. But the Canadian crowds are fantastic. And I don't know what it is about Canada, but they breed such amazing, amazing wrestlers that you just go up there and it's like everybody on every show is so good. And it's, again, a wonderful experience every time I'm up there, and I just can't get enough of the crowds.
Awesome. All right. Match you want to be in that you haven't been in yet? How come?
Match style or an opponent again?
It can be a match style. Like
match style. One gimmick match that I've never done was cage. So, and that's actually kind of crazy because I've been doing this for 13 years. But that's one match that's eluded me, and I think I could do a lot of cool stuff in a cage. So that's on my list for sure.
Okay, who would be that opponent for you in that cage?
Who comes to mind for a cage match? Probably
it's gotta be someone you had history with.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I had a really good match with Super Crazy that I think would have been really cool if we were in a cage.
Awesome.
That would be cool. Or, TJ Epix, Chael Connors, or Julio Diamante, I think would all be great cage matches. And I have history with all of those guys. So, and I think they can go, move for move with me in the style that I imagine in my mind. So
Good. All good stuff, Robby. All right. Now let's talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
You have Death from Above coming out from DMAC Promotions.
Yes.
Talk about this.
We are the main event for this show. It's myself versus Price Pure Gold. It's a very interesting main event. So my current tag team partner, who I am tag team champions with, is the Diamond Julio Diamante, and he is a member of Greed, and the leader of Greed is Price Pure Gold. And me and Julio kind of won the tag team titles by accident, and kind of figured out we're a good team. And Price doesn't like that, so he challenged me for just my tag title. So if he wins, he takes only my tag title and continues to team with his normal partner. But if I win, I'm the new leader of Greed.
Wow, that's great. That's a first. I never heard that you only go for one title. That's awesome.
Yeah, we're really excited about it, and it's actually a first time ever. I've never ever gone one-on-one with Price. In fact, the only time we ever touched in a match was years ago in a scramble, I believe, and never touched since. So this is going to be a big time one-on-one match.
This is a must-see match, man. Make sure you use that QR code and get your tickets if you are by Webster, New York.
Absolutely, and it's
this once-in-a-lifetime match.
It's going to be fantastic, guys. Like, if you can be there live, please get tickets.
Please come down, Robby, man. I appreciate you coming on the show, man. And we got to talk about podcasting one day. I'd love to pick your mind on stuff.
Yeah, sure, absolutely, man. And I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Hey, man, I appreciate you too. Anytime you want to come back, let us know, man. We'll bring you back on if you want to promote something.
Thank you so much.
But in the meantime, let everybody know where they get your merchandise and then where they can follow you.
Sure. So I have a Pro Wrestling Tees store. There's probably about 10 designs up there right now. You could just go to Pro Wrestling Tees and search Rockstar Robby Vegas, or it's Pro Wrestling Tees / Rockstar Robby Vegas, whichever one's easier for you. And you can follow me on Instagram, where the link would be in my bio, and that's Robby_Vegas_official. And you can follow my podcast at ABAO Pod, also on Instagram. And that's the same for X and Facebook as far as the podcast goes. But yeah, your best bet for me is the Instagram, Robby_Vegas_official. And please spell Robby ROBBY, because so many people want to put IE at the end.
Make sure you follow Robby on all his socials and his podcast, please. As for me, I have Steven Styles tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Followed by the EPW Super Show featuring Justin Klein, Brandon Savage, Maddie the American Baddie, and Trace Lee Hunt. Whew. On Thursday, I have Walker 13. On Friday, I have Kenny Calypso and JJ Doze. And we are about to bring you more guests for Wednesday night, soon to be announced. Hopefully by tomorrow, I'll get that announcement done. And you can follow all things Papa Dank everywhere. Papa Dank on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, wherever. Any of my merch is available on the only Pro Wrestling Tees. Make sure you check that out. I will have a vlog coming out soon, which is from VPW. The Big Storm is coming out soon, as soon as I finish editing, Robby, because it takes hours to do that stuff, as you know.
Sure do.
You can catch the Papa Dank commercial on SICW Wrestling on YouTube, everywhere, and with Titan Championship Wrestling, Danger Zone on their YouTube channel. Their next event is Rise of the Titans, Saturday, May 11th. I will be in the building there. And I don't know where I'll be in April. I got some stuff going on. So, well, I know where I'll be in April 27th. I'll be at NYWC for April Rain for their show. And then April 13th, I'm supposed to be going to West Virginia to do a promotion out there with Miss Tiffany Avatar. So make sure you follow her as well. And Serena says, thank you, Robby, for coming on. Serena, appreciate you as well. Everybody else on Instagram, have a good night. And Robby, just hold on for a second. Everybody else, I'll see you all tomorrow. Actually, I'm going to be back at 7 o'clock with Metal Geek on his channel. We're doing a top 10 all-time favorite movies of all time, 7 o'clock.